57th governor of the great state of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Look, it is a real privilege to be joined on the stage today by elected leaders that I consider to be the most effective that working New Yorkers could hope for. And look, just a few months ago, these elected leaders, with very little fanfare, delivered what is most likely the most impactful labor legislation in years. And what I'm talking about is the quiet overhaul of our state's broken unemployment insurance system. The truly groundbreaking changes that they made have transformed that broken system into the most pro-union, most worker-friendly in the country. And they did that in two ways. The first is that it provides for the largest single increase in the maximum benefit that laid-off workers can receive in the history of New York. And second, it cuts in half the waiting period for striking workers, making New York State the leader in the nation in terms of supporting workers who are fighting for a fair contract. Well, look, let me start at the beginning. At its core, the fundamental purpose of the unemployment insurance system is to provide a safety net. It is a safety net that's supposed to catch workers who lose their jobs and provide to them short-term benefits that are at least enough for them to be able to keep their heads above water during that difficult period between jobs. And look, almost everyone in this room, at one point or another in their lives, have had the misfortune of having to rely on that safety net. And to give you a sense of scale, over 1 million New Yorkers lose their jobs every year, and almost half of them are out of work for long enough that they have to rely on unemployment benefits. And that problem is particularly acute in seasonal industries like the hotel industry, where fully 1 in 6 of our members are laid off for some period each and every year. Now, the fundamental problem with our unemployment system is that it just doesn't provide benefits that are enough for workers to keep their heads above water while they're looking for work. Look, and that is because in New York, that benefit is capped at just $504 a week. And if I could quote Governor Hochul from a few weeks ago, that's bullshit, right? Look, the average rent in New York City is between $3,500 and $4,000 a month. $504 doesn't even cover rent, much less the other basic necessities like groceries and utilities and health care. And that is unacceptable. But the elected leaders standing here with me, they recognize that problem and they fixed it. So thanks to them, this October, that maximum benefit will increase from $504 to $869 a week. So that is. Thank you. So that is an increase of almost 75% and the largest increase in the history of our state. And it is a game changer. It is a lifesaver. Because of that, hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers will be okay. They won't lose their homes. They won't have to choose between putting food on the table and keeping the lights on. They and their families will be able to get by while they're looking for work. And look, as impressive as that benefit increase is, and it is impressive, it is not even the most impressive part of this change. So, almost 100 years ago, during a particularly bloody mine workers' strike in Harlan County, Kentucky, labor began asking one simple question. That question is, what side are you on? Right? And the second change to this law answers that question. It answers it clearly, it answers it unequivocally. The governor, the leader, the speaker, they are on our side. They are on the side of working people, they are on the side of regular New Yorkers. Because this law also cuts in half the waiting period for striking workers, making New York the most pro-union state when it comes to supporting workers who are fighting for their futures, for their families, and for a fair contract. And that is because these leaders had the courage to stand up and say loudly, when the battle lines are drawn, we are on your side, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
And look, while all of the leaders here certainly stand with all working New Yorkers, no one in this room should have any doubt that they stand with you in particular, with hotel workers, with members of HTC. Because everyone here was determined not just to enact this law, but to enact it now. Because they were fully aware that exactly 1 year from today, our citywide master contract expires. On July 1st, 2026, the largest hotel contract in the world, covering almost 30,000 workers in more than 250 hotels, will, for the first time in more than a decade, expire. And on that day, if we don't get the wages, the benefits, and the protections that we demand, that we deserve, mark my words, there's going to be a fight. And look, we're ready. We've been preparing. We are strong. And if we don't get what we need at the bargaining table, we sure as hell will get it on the streets. Because, look, management is going to learn that it is HTC members that are the backbone of the hospitality industry. It is their hard work that powers New York City's $50 billion a year tourism. Our members work really hard, but they will fight even harder to get what's coming to them. And so we are grateful that when we ask these elected leaders, when we ask the governor, whose side are you on? They didn't hesitate. They didn't equivocate. They said, we are on your side. We are on the side of working New Yorkers. We're on the side of HTC. And look, with them on our side, we can't lose. So we do. And it is now my pleasure and my privilege to introduce someone who I consider to be the smartest, the toughest, and the most principled elected leader that this state has ever seen. Someone who is a true champion for working New Yorkers, someone who is a real friend to the Hotel Trades Council, and someone who was a driver behind these groundbreaking changes, because without her grit, without her determination, without her ingenuity, none of it would have happened. So it is my pleasure to introduce our governor, Kathy Hochul.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Is HTC in the house? Then I'm in the right place. So great to see a group of people who understands the power of leadership. And in Rich Morocco, you have the very best. He has been your, Rich. We all love him. We love you, Richard. Great friend of ours. But also, I am so fortunate to have partners that I trust and rely on to govern this state. And I want to tell you about Carl Heastie, the speaker. I don't think we had a single conversation for months where he didn't raise the issue of, like, Governor, can we finally fix the unemployment insurance issue? Then we get to everything else. So he was dogged in his determination to make sure we got this done. I want to thank him and Harry Bronson as well, our assembly member from upstate New York. Anybody find upstate New York on a map? It's a great place. Okay. I know we have members up there as well. So Harry, but Carl, thank you for being the conscious. And Leader Stuart Cousins, making sure that the Senate was on board to drive this and get this over the finish line. These are the leaders that worked with me to say, it is time we stood up for our workers. This is how we get it done. So thank you to them so much. Also, we have an extraordinary Commissioner of Labor who harkens back to the legacy of Frances Perkins, who was so forward-thinking when she was Commissioner of Labor for FDR when he was governor. Do you know he was governor first? Yeah, okay. Then he went to be president. He took her with him, and they changed the course of history by lifting up people in the greatest time of need. And I want to thank Roberta Reardon for being our 2025 version of Frances Perkins. All right. It's time to just talk. Is this on? Is this on? Yep. All right. These are really tough times for our people. And when we can do something like this, it sends a message that we care so deeply about every stress that people are going through, especially the high cost of living. It is oppressive. It is so discouraging because you work hard. And many of you came from immigrant parents or grandparents or yourselves. You came here to live the American, in fact, I'll say the New York dream. And no matter how hard you're working and you're getting good wages because you have a great fighter, sometimes it just feels like we're not getting ahead. No one counted on a pandemic to slam us down and to stop people from coming to our city, which is the bread and butter of this union. Remember those times. We tried to help you with resources at that time. And then when you think we're out of the woods now, we're going to be okay, this is New York, then inflation knocks us down. Everything you bought for your little kids, taking care of your teenagers, your adult kids who needed your help. Sometimes they didn't even leave the basement, right? They couldn't find a place to live, right? People have struggled, no fault of their own. So I have declared for a long time that your family is my fight. I announced that with a whole set of reforms back as part of my State of the State. You know what we got done? Everything I wanted to. It's $5,000 back in families' pockets. And I want to thank our leaders once again. Because when I said we need a middle-class tax rate cut, the largest in 7 years, they said yes. When I said we need an inflation rebate that would put $400 back in families' pockets, they said yes. A child tax credit. Anybody with little kids? They're pretty expensive, aren't they? I mean, I'm New York's first mom governor. I know. And I'm a grandma, too, so I know what it costs for families today. $1,000 for families with a child under the age of 4, $500 for older kids. And we're going to pick up the cost of school lunches and breakfast. That adds up to $5,000 for New York families. So we have been... So we have been laser focused on affordability, and we're just getting warmed up. We know we can do more. When I think about our union men and women, now, we are the most unionized state in America, the most pro-union state in America, and I happen to come from the most unionized part of the most unionized state in New York, and that is Western New York, where everybody... we got a Western New Yorker out there? Really? Where are you from? All right, I'll know you're a real Western New Yorker if you say, go Bills. All right, I'll stop. I know, I'll keep that for the season. All right. Let me get back on track. I am trying to unite upstate and downstate. There are 3 teams. Couple placed somewhere else, but okay, we'll work on that. But it's in my blood because Grandpa was a very poor immigrant who lived in great poverty, worked as a migrant farm worker himself, came to Buffalo to make steel with his hands. My dad did the same. His brothers did the same. My next-door workers worked at the GM plant. So it is in my blood to fight for working men and women. And when I know there's something that happens periodically, because I've been on so many strike lines, then people need to strike for better wages and conditions, that first of all, to wait 3 weeks for those benefits to take effect, that's a long, hungry time for your family. Long time. My dad was on strike when we were little kids at the steel plant. His parents tried to help him out. They struggled. I remember him telling me this. I didn't know this story until much later in his life. So families suffer when the parents are out there fighting for good wages and benefits. We can't let that happen. It's now 3 weeks down to 2. We made that happen for you. But to think, because there was this huge debt owed to our unemployment system, and I want to give everybody give another round of applause to Roberta Reardon, who made sure the checks went out during the pandemic. We owed a lot of money, and they said under the rules, you can't raise that amount up from $504 a week. I said, $504 a week? Who can live on that? Nobody. Nobody. I said, well, why aren't we able to raise it? Well, you have to pay down the debt. All right? So we have this reserves. It's going to be $7 billion that we shift from here over here to pay it out. That's a lot of money. I worked hard. I said, I'm saving that for a rainy day. And all of a sudden, I declared, it's raining. It's raining. It's time to make sure that if people are on strike or unemployed, lose their jobs, $869 a week. That's how we lift people up. And I'm going to continue because we have a long road ahead, but I'll tell you, we're all New Yorkers. There's nobody tougher than us, right? We are strong, we're resilient, and all these policies out of Washington, scarier than hell. Talk about the hotels losing business from the Canadians. It's hard to blame them because they were insulted by our president, right? We're trying to win them back. I was up in Elise Stefanik's district Friday, meeting hotel owners up there and small businesses and people in the restaurants. They're going to be starving because the Canadians used to come over. They're our friends, they're our neighbors. They used to spend weekends here in New York City staying at your hotels. And now they're saying we're not coming. The president needs to reset that relationship now. Let them come back. Fix that relationship now. And we're on a high. We're having a good time. This is New York. But if those bills that you hear about, the big ugly bill that is being worked on by the Senate right now to give tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires out of your pockets, that is going to be devastating for people on Medicaid and people who need the support for child care and SNAP benefits. My gosh, so many families rely on this. So I'm excited about what we can do here in New York, but we must continue to be the firewall to stop the insanity in Washington, say no matter what they do, we have your back here in the great state of New York. You can count on that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Let me bring up Carl Heastie, the man who helped make this happen. Carl Heastie. Ladies and gentlemen, Speaker Carl Heastie.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, the governor mentioned that New York is the most union state in the nation, but yet we weren't the most union when it came to unemployment benefits. Actually, we were 29th out of the 50 states in the nation. But with the changes that we did in the budget, we will have the highest unemployment rates, highest unemployment benefits of any state in the nation by going up to $869. And it couldn't be more important based on what may happen, and the governor alluded to the disaster bill that the Republicans in power are using. It can devastate our healthcare industry. It can, as she said, with the tariffs, is devastating the trade and people coming to New York and helping to stay in the hotels that all of you work at. So this was something that was hugely, hugely important. And it was able to get done, really, and the governor's right, I did bug her, myself and our incredible chair of labor, Harry Bronson, about why this was good. It was good for the businesses, but it was also good for the workers. As long as we owed that debt to the federal government, we could not enhance worker benefits. But we wouldn't have been able to pay that debt without the great stewardship of the governor in terms of the finances in the state of New York. You know, $7 billion is a whole lot of paper. And so being able to put that and still have the state in a good place in terms of the amount of reserves for other rainy days, which may happen, again, based on Washington. But it's true, $504 couldn't sustain anyone. And then on top of that, and Rich, your wonderful, I'd say, president, mentioned this. Y'all about to go into a tremendous negotiating session. And sometimes people think they can wait you out and starve you because they think that you're not going to get benefits. So hopefully, Rich, this helps you in your negotiation next year, knowing that workers still, if a strike has to happen and go beyond that, they'll be able to get enhanced benefits. But just always know that the New York State Assembly, I was the former labor chair before I was elected speaker. I'm a member of 3 unions. So the union spirit, the union love never leaves you. It's always with us in the assembly. And I do want to mention we have 2 other assembly members here, Alex Boris from Manhattan and Noah Burrows from Long Island, who's with us. But just congratulations to all of you, the workers who keep the state moving. You take good care of us. And I just want to say congratulations to everyone who's involved to get this done. And yes, Rich was on me all the time about how important this was to get this done. Not only enhancing the benefits, but really the shortening the time for striking workers to be able to get unemployment was a huge, huge thing. And to be honest, not a lot of people were talking about it except for Rich. So you should give your president a big round of applause on that. Yes, we love you, Rich. So now it's my honor. You know, I often tell people governing New York it's a tripod. We have our great governor, you have the assembly, and then we have a wonderful partner in the New York State Senate, but is led by an extraordinary, caring woman and our amazing majority leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins.
So, you know, I like to chant. And I love that when we fight. When we fight. One more time. When we fight. All right. Okay. And I wanted to say that because what we have here are people who are fighters. That's right. The great governor, the great speaker, your tremendous leader, Rich, our commissioner, our legislative family. The good news about all of us is that when we fight for you, that's what we do. When we fight for you. We don't fight each other. Because we know that energy, that's not what we came to do. We do stand together. And I want to say that I couldn't be happier than to stand with labor in this moment where working people are being told on a national level that you really don't matter, that we don't need unions, we don't need to raise a minimum wage. On a national level, that's $7.25. We don't need to do that. And by the way, by the time they get through with this bill, we won't have health care for so many people, millions of people. New York is rowing against that tide. We know that you are the backbone of our economy. You are the backbone of this great city and this great state. And we also know we are leaders. And in order to do that, we've got to work together. I hope you never need that unemployment benefit, okay? But you know, if you do, we got your back. I want to thank my chair of labor, Jessica Ramos. I want to shout out to Senator Jackson, who chairs civil service and pensions, and all of my colleagues in the Senate. You know, when Speaker Hasty was talking about, you know, the unemployment, and the governor and I were listening and paying it off, we were trying to figure it out. But again, we were afraid of the clouds that were around us, because we know that we're going to have to take care of people regardless of what. But then, as the governor said, with the tariffs and with the uncertainty, every day is a new day, it's a new tariff, it's a new retreat, it's a new assault. It was clear it was raining. We didn't want it to continue to rain on our businesses that support so many of our local communities, that support the workers, that support their families, that support our economy, that support us. So we will be that umbrella. When that rain comes, this team and you will be that umbrella. So thank you so much. I get the privilege of giving it back to my great, he's my wonder twin, where is he? My great friend, the speaker, who has a special introduction to make, Speaker Hasty.
Thank you, Madam Leader. You know, there were so many things we discussed in the budget, and the governor mentioned many of them, trying to put more money back into the people of the state of New York and just make things a little more affordable. And oftentimes during the budget, we have negotiations and we come to conference. And as soon as I saw that Harry Bronson put his name on the list to speak, I knew the first thing Harry was going to say is, what are we doing to retire the unemployment debt so we can enhance the benefits for workers? Harry could have just worn a sign on his forehead, because he said it every single time we went to conference. And so I just wanted to thank him for that. And oftentimes when you're the chair of a committee, you have to be a nudge, even if it looks like you're annoying people. But Harry was standing up for working people across the state. And so I want to bring forward our great labor chair, Harry Bronson.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you so much. Rich, first of all, I want to thank you for, one, hosting us today with your members, all brothers and sisters of HTC. But also I want to thank you for your leadership to make sure that we increase unemployment benefit, and to make sure that we reduced the striking time in case you have to go strike. So give it up to Rich. Governor Hochul, you know, I'm not sure you all appreciate the leadership that the governor exhibited in making this decision. This was not an easy decision. You know, we know that the federal government is attacking us. We know they're attacking workers. We know they're cutting Medicaid potentially in New York State to the tune of roughly $14 billion. And we know that hard times may be coming. Most economists believe that it's coming, and because of the tariff and other things that's happening at the federal government. So as governor, Kathy Hochul has to manage the fiscal state of our New York State. And she has to be fiscally responsible. So asking her to take $7 billion from reserves to pay down the unemployment insurance trust debt so that we could increase the benefit for workers was a hard ask, because she knows that there's other rainy days coming. But ultimately, Governor Hochul made the tough decision, because she knew that if we got into 2026, it would be 5 years of debt, and with 5 years of debt, then businesses would double the amount they have to pay in principal, interest payments would continue, and if layoffs are coming because of what's happening at the federal level, we could not rely on $504 maximum benefit and unemployment insurance. So the governor, the speaker, majority leader came together and ultimately made the tough choice. Let's do this. This is the right time. This is the time to do it. It's the right thing to do. As the governor said, and as majority leader just said, it is a rainy day, and we need to take care of the rainy day for the workers in New York State. So, and majority leader, I know we couldn't have done this without you. Thank you so much. Commissioner, you just paid $6 billion, $6.2 billion on Friday, I think. Thank you for doing that. But what this really means to all of you, and you know, as chair of the Labor Committee and as a union labor attorney for decades, I strongly believe that when management and labor work together, you get the best solutions.
That's right.
But if you don't work together, you got to get tough.
That's right, yes.
And Rich is going to get tough for you. And we're going to make sure that if you do have to use that really difficult choice of a strike, then your members are going to get unemployment benefits. So the speaker's right. Every conference I said unemployment. I think at one point when he said, Harry, we don't have partners, it's dead. I'm like, really? It's dead? And so then I believe I said, Wizard of Oz, you know when the house falls on the witch? And then the mortician comes out and he declares absolutely, undeniably dead. Well, the speaker declared that, but we didn't stop. And we went back, and we knew we had to do this. We had to do it for you and all of the workers across the state so that we could increase the benefits. So, again, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for everything you did. Thank you, Majority Leader, for all you did. And your leadership, Kathy Hochul, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it's my honor to announce the next person who is one of your own. Brother Kevin McQueen, HCC member, restaurant server at Hyatt Centric Wall Street. Kevin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Kevin McQueen, and I am a proud HCC member and a parent of two. I am so happy to be here with all of you, and most of all, I'm happy to be here with our champion, our Governor Hochul.
Yay.
We all know how important it is today, insurance. But I want to talk a little bit about my personal life during the pandemic. I was laid off and spent almost 2 years without working, barely able to pay rent and put food on the table, or could provide a stable stability for me and my family. I want to thank everyone for that. Thankfully, I found a job as a server at Hyatt Centric, because I know I would not be able to live on unemployment in New York City. But all that has changed. Governor Hochul has delivered a big win for people like me. I am also happy to hear the benefit rate is finally going up.
Yeah.
Increasing unemployment benefits would mean a stronger safety net and allow people like me facing tough times to live with dignity and stay above water. A few extra dollars every week can be difference between keeping the lights on and being on the streets. Working in hospitality, we all know, there are busy seasons and there are slow seasons as well. we have to plan for the slow seasons. The bigger and better unemployment insurance is an important part of that. But we also have a big contract fight this year. Governor Hochul reduced the amount of time striking workers to have to wait to collect unemployment insurance by a week. This is clear signal to the hotel industry. We are ready to fight, and we have the governor in our corner. I want to thank you. I want to thank Governor Hochul. You are not just our friend, you are our hero. Thank you, Governor.
Stephen, to close out this program, thank you, Stephen, for sharing that story. I know you gathered to thank me and the legislature, but I need to thank you. I need to thank all of you for being the welcoming committee, the people who take care of our visitors, who put such a wonderful face on hospitality, particularly here in New York City. I see your faces. I walk into restaurants, walk into hotels. I say hello, I thank you, but I want you to know that that gratitude goes to every one of you. I walked into Weston yesterday, where I used to stay for many years as lieutenant governor. It was a homecoming. I knew all their names. I asked about the kids, the people who used to check me in, and people would come up and clean the rooms. People just made me feel part of the family. So don't underestimate the power that you have to make people love New York. Because of that, I love all of you. Thank you very much, everybody.
That concludes our program. Thank you all for attending. If our guests can please exit through the back where you came.